In an ever-evolving digital landscape, for your business to thrive, you must adapt or die. Welcome to Marketing in the Age of AI, the podcast helping you harness the power of AI and marketing tools to revitalize and grow your business. And now here's your host, marketing expert and author of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI, Emanuel Rose.
Welcome to this episode of Marketing in the Age of AI. I'm your host, Emanuel Rose, and today I'm joined by Charles Dents, founder and CEO of Exit Systems. With over 2 decades of experience, Charles has established himself as a true business growth and exit strategist. His unique approach harnesses AI-powered systems to drive significant revenue growth, improve operational efficiency, and prepare companies and founders for successful exits. Charles, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Nice to be with you, Emanuel.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful you had some time to spend with me today.
Yes, sir.
And I'm interested to hear about some of the key principles of exit systems and how it differentiates your approach to business growth.
Yeah, so Exit Systems came about, just kind of the origin story. We launched officially in April of this year. And I say we actually in a strategic partnership with 4 other companies. So there's 5 companies involved. And we all have specific specialties that we deliver to help companies that are in the 10 million to 500 million revenue range to help them grow, scale, and ultimately prepare for exit and to sell their business at a premium. And we deploy several different factors to do that. And we focus on, believe it or not, 18 different value levers that business buyers look for and that they value and that they're willing to pay premiums for. And we use several different types of AI in order to engage, implement, as well as track progress for the company.
Well, you must have some pretty sophisticated dashboards, huh?
Yeah, we do. We actually have one of our partners that is their specialty. They provide us with our clients with real-time data, tracking KPIs, metrics, business data, using AI to gather that information and to do it very efficiently. For the most part, all the data becomes real time. Obviously there are times we can't get to real-time data, but for the most part, it's real-time data.
Yeah. And so what are some of those 18 levers that you're talking about?
Yeah, so there are several. One is owner dependency, and ridding the company of owner dependency, because that devalues the company.
Sure.
And not only does it devalue from a sales standpoint, because buyer's not going to buy the owner, right? Typically, they're not buying the owner. However, it's also a great uplift for the company when the owner is not the hub of the company, making all the major decisions. When there's a leadership team in place that's been given the authority and understand how to make proper decisions. Another is, and so that relates to owner dependency. Also, that again relates to culture, because that drives the culture of the company. So we have proprietary tools to help with the culture, and that is tied to the brand of the company. So everything ties together, everyone's rowing in the right direction, so to speak. Another would be like pricing optimization. Most times, actually, what we find is that pricing for services and products is not optimized. And so we help companies optimize their pricing so that they are basically generating capital or revenue that they would not be otherwise generating. Another is cost containment. So we help them with their cost containment. It kind of works like pricing, in that, if you're paying your vendors too much, or you have subscriptions that are not used, or you don't have the right vendors, or you haven't renegotiated with your vendors, that type of thing, we help with that and help identify it. And so that, again, ultimately what happens is that and those things can come about pretty quickly. And what happens is that by improving in those areas, and that's just a few, by improving in those areas, our services essentially pays for itself.
Yeah.
Well, the results that we get.
Now, are you working on behalf of the owners or behalf of the buyers?
Oh, that's a great question. So we're operating on behalf of both.
Okay.
To be honest with you, because first of all, we want to make sure that the owners maximize the value of their company, increasing valuation, increasing EBITDA, even if they don't sell, even if they're not preparing to sell, because if they're running a very efficient business, they're actually creating freedom for themselves to be strategists.
Yep.
So we're definitely working with them so they get premium for their company when they do decide to sell, or whatever they decide to do. It could be an ESOP, it could be an IPO, it could be whatever, a strategic buyer comes in,
right,
financial buyer. But also from a buyer standpoint, it benefits them as well, because now they get information, or from a diligence standpoint, where it's totally transparent. And so it helps them understand exactly what they're getting. So like if we're working with, say if it's a PE firm, right? And we are helping them with their portfolio clients, and they're looking to do a deal. Well, we can come in and do some pre-evaluation for them, so they know exactly what they're getting and if it's a good deal or not, and what the upside potential is, or also the challenges that they will be facing when they do the deal.
Yeah, that makes sense. What kind of results are you getting right now with the implementation?
Well, implementation is interesting, because what happens initially, and this is the reason why I mentioned this first, is the owner independency, or the owner just being independent of the owner. The owner, so I'll give you a story. The owner, what we've experienced is that the owner says, wow, this is what I initially had envisioned when I either bought the company or started the company,
Right.
is creating freedom for myself. But what happens is that they don't create freedom, they create another job, typically. And so the results we get is that the owner frees up himself, and then what happens, or herself, then what happens is that then they start to realize that their company truly is a valuable asset.
Right.
So that valuable asset, then they may make a new decision. That new decision is that, I no longer want to sell my company.
Right.
I have figured out there's some magic sauce here where the company runs itself, and it's growing and it's profitable. So growing is that, it's that 1+1 deal, right? So it's that natural thing that happens. But then they also discover that it scales, right?
Right.
So that's where 1+1=5 type of deal, right? So, and once they understand their role from a strategic leadership standpoint, and the value that is creating, now they truly become strategists. And so that's one example of results that we see.
And let's see. So a lot of times you're going to go in and clean up, say, the sales system or something like that. What's that process look like?
Yeah, from a sales system standpoint, this is, and we do this for all systems actually. So we go in and we take a look at, what's in place in terms of, and we just generally we just call it standard operating procedures.
Yeah, right. Yep.
So what's in place for the key ones, right? And we're not looking for standard operating procedures for every single thing that's done, but strategically, those strategic procedures, are they in place? And if not, whose head are those procedures
Yeah.
in, right?
Who's got
So,
him? Who's got that process by the throat?
exactly, because if that person so we try to reverse that key person dependency, right? Because if that person walks out the door and that knowledge leaves, then that puts that company in chaos.
Right.
If that person, for whatever reason, just disappears, whatever that cause may be, and that knowledge has gone out the door, now it makes them scramble. Again, it creates chaos. So what we do is a couple of things. We discover that, we help them document it and do that very quickly and efficiently. We also will help them automate whatever can be automated, so that particularly those repetitive type things that a human certainly can do them, but it's typically not what that human was hired to do.
And it's not creative at all, right?
Not at all, not innovative, not anything. So we try to automate those things. And then on top of that, what happens is that now they have a resource, right, that can be repeated. So that those procedures are no longer tied to a person. So they no longer have that key person dependency. So whether it's sales, whatever department it is, we make sure that we are freeing up the IP from the human resource. And so the human resource can do what they're hired to do, and then the IP gets protected.
Yeah, I love that. And then it becomes an asset that they're actually transferring over versus
the IP
being a person.
Absolute asset, and that's one of our levers. We make sure that the IP becomes an asset. It's kind of like data as well. We make sure their data becomes an asset.
Right.
Most companies have valuable data, and that data in and of itself can be an asset. So
for sure.
And each one of those levers, those 18 levers that we work on, each one of them adds value to the company. And so we are very confident that we can do that for each lever.
I love it. It sounds like an important process for a company to be involved in, even if they don't want to exit.
Absolutely, and I think that's a great recognition. We sometimes have a little bit of a struggle. I'll give you an example. There's a couple of companies that they were not interested in exiting.
Right.
And so there was a big pushback on exit. The fact that we even have exit in our name, exit systems. And but once it's understood that it's more than about exit. Exit can be the ultimate goal,
sure,
but you have to get there.
Right.
So before you can ever exit, because and you probably know this, but there's a tremendous amount of companies on the market for sale. A lot of them, majority, don't sell.
Yep, they just fold them up.
They're not ready.
Right.
And you can't wake up one morning and say, I'm gonna sell, right? And expect to get a premium. You may have some IP that someone wants, and maybe they pay you for that. But the reality is that you're still selling at a discount. And that's what we want to help our clients do, not sell at a discount or not discount their company, period. And so in order to do that, you have to have all the systems in place that are repeatable. You have to have the leadership in place that knows what they're doing, and you have to have owner independency on top of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Tell me a little bit about how you guys are finding clients, what kind of marketing you're doing.
Yeah, we're doing direct outreach to our network of advisors, whether it be wealth management, whether it be PE firms, M&A firms, M&A advisors, also investment bankers, venture capitalists. So we're looking to work with companies that have portfolios of companies, and they basically become our strategic referral partners, if you will. But we're again helping both. So we're helping those referral partners increase the value of the companies that they're involved with, And then on top of that, we're helping their clients.
Right.
So again, it becomes a win-win situation where everyone, benefits.
And so, are you on LinkedIn? Are you doing cold email? What are your systems for marketing look like?
Yeah, we're not doing a lot of cold outreach at all. So we're actually leveraging our relationships, our networks that within our network, the relationships we have with individuals in those industries, and just having really just live person-to-person conversations. So I know that's kind of not the main way to do business these days, but because there's a lot of automated LinkedIn outreach, a lot of automated email outreach, and a lot of cold calling, that type of thing. And right now we're just choosing to leverage what we realize that our each of us have huge networks of people in those industries, and so we're just having those one-off conversations.
Yeah, those of us who grew up in an age before the internet still value the one-on-one conversations.
Man, but it's the interesting thing about it is, and you're right, I'm one of those, right? So, but the reality is that those conversations, creating those relationships, and are just so much more effective from a volume standpoint. When you're doing anything that's cold calling related, it's high volume, and you waste a lot of time having unproductive conversations. And so we look to have productive conversations with those that we have relationships with, and then to continue that relationship for a long time into the future.
Yeah, well, I love the work that you're doing, and I like that you have such a clear structure and a way to move the business forward, even so much forward that the owners decide they don't want to sell. I think that's a great irony.
It is great. It makes you smile because you realize that you've helped someone probably realize a dream that they started out to have to begin with.
Yeah, and that's the people part of it is what's satisfying, right, Charles?
Exactly right.
Yeah, I'm with you. If somebody's interested in working with Exit Systems, how do they get in charge of you? In touch with you, Charles?
Two ways. Contact me directly at charles@exitsystemsai.com, or you can go to our website, exitsystemsai.com, and you can contact us through the website or directly to me, charles@exitsystemsai.com.
Well, that's all that information will be in the show notes, and we'll make sure people are able to get in touch with you. I'm very appreciative of your time today, and thank you for the great work that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you for having me on, Emanuel. And I guess we just met just a few weeks ago, so I'm glad that we had the opportunity and to be able to do this podcast, and hopefully that we will be able to stay in contact and continue to do some great things together.
I think that sounds like a great plan. Hang on for me while I close the show, and we'll say goodbye correctly.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thanks. So it's a great reminder, and appreciate Charles' insight in looking at some of the levers of the business that are critical for profitability, and looking in some ways to make yourself obsolete in your business so that you have time to act as the strategist and have some time for your friends and your family, and maybe even to get outside and get out into nature and get away from the screens. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, my conversation with Charles Dents, and I'd encourage you to get in touch with him if you want to build out the profitability of your company and maybe even have a conversation about exiting your business. It's Emanuel Rose, Marketing in the Age of AI.
Thanks for listening to Marketing in the Age of AI. Be sure to subscribe wherever you heard this podcast so you never miss a future episode. Your copy of Authentic Marketing in the Age of AI is available at Amazon.com or EmanuelRose.com. You can also connect with Emanuel on LinkedIn. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.